Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it will be the wrong thing to do to reduce the coronavirus supplement from $250 a fortnight to $150 a fortnight, quite simply because people won't be able to live on it. It's that simple. In fact, the unemployed are already at rock bottom on the original coronavirus supplement amount of $250 a fortnight. How on earth are they going to live on $150 a fortnight? It's just not enough. Now, sure, at $150 a fortnight, it means the unemployed will be getting about $50 a day, and sure, that's a darn sight better than $40 a day, but it's not enough. It's not enough to pay for your housing, not enough to pay for your food, your medical expenses, your transport, your grooming, so your clothing, so you look good for a job interview, for your ICT, so you've got a phone, so you've got an internet, so you can even apply for jobs. It's just not enough. And crucially, it's way below the poverty line. I mean, why do we even have a thing called the poverty line if we're going to ignore it? The poverty line is exactly that. It's the figure at which you are in abject poverty and you can't live a decent life. And in fact, the poverty line is actually about $65 a day. So at about $50 a day, it's way below the poverty line. So this decision by the government will be completely and utterly unacceptable, and it will be entirely out of step with what the community and welfare groups and business groups, all sorts of people, including former Prime Minister John Howard. He's well known to be on the record arguing against $40 a day, and I suspect he won't be all that impressed with $50 a day either, with a coronavirus supplement of $150 a fortnight. To make the point about how little amount of money this is, I draw the attention of honourable members to a printout just yesterday off the web about rental prices in Hobart, because Hobart now is one of the most expensive places in Australia to rent a house. And I'll just flick through some of these things, Deputy Speaker. A house, ordinary looking house, $830 per week to rent. Another house, 3 bedrooms, $600 per week to rent. A 1-bedroom apartment in a high-rise, or low-rise, $300 per week. 3-bedroom house, $600 per week. 3-bedroom apartment, $800 a week. A slightly bigger house, $650 a week. House, $850 a week. A room in a boarding house, $260 a week. Another townhouse, $850 a week. House, $725 a week. A 2-bedroom cottage, in Bathurst Street in Hobart, $495 a week. Another boarding house, $250 for a single room. Deputy Speaker, I could go on, but I'm sure my colleagues understand the point I'm getting at. When you are on Jobseeker and your coronavirus supplement is only $150 per fortnight or $75 a week, you can't afford to rent any of those places. Even the single room in a boarding house at $260 a week is unaffordable. All this poverty by design will ensure is that we'll have more homeless, more couch surfers, more people living in a tin shed out in the backyard. We can do better than this, Deputy Speaker. We can do so much better than this. Of course, the government claims that unemployment benefits are really just a stopgap. They're just something for maybe a few months while someone goes and gets a job. And in fact, it should be a bit tough, so they're encouraged even more to go and get a job. But the fact is, Deputy Speaker, almost all the unemployed want a job, and they're doing everything they can do to get a job. This urban myth in some quarters that they're all dole bludgers, it's a terrible misrepresentation of the fact. And when you've got a situation like we now have in my electorate, where over 10,000 people are relying on Jobseeker, and there's 21 people on Jobseeker for each job. The fact is, most of those people who are currently unemployed stand a very real risk of being long-term unemployed. So it's no good to just give them a stopgap. They need a living income because they stand to be unemployed for many, many months. So they're going to have their rent, the car to run, the food, the medical expenses, the ICT, their grooming expenses. Many of them are, not just all young single people. Many of these people are people with families to support. So the idea that we can just have a stopgap for unemployment benefits, it misses the point that we're going to have a lot of long-term unemployed. And we're always going to have a small number of people who are simply unemployable. And even if you are lucky enough to get a job in only a few months, you've still got the sort of rents that I referred to before. You're probably still paying $300, $400, $500 a week in rent, or your mortgage payments, or whatever. Deputy Speaker, I suggest we need a whole new approach to so-called welfare payments in this country. Because if we can bring ourselves to accept that people have expenses and they need to pay those expenses, then surely we can accept that everyone in the country, whether you are unemployed or you are disabled or you're a carer or you're aged, surely we can accept that all of those people should get enough in income support from our government that they can live a dignified life. So I frankly don't even understand why Newstart or Jobseeker is at a different rate to, say, the age pension or the disability pension or carers payments and other payments. Surely they should all be the same amount. I think this global pandemic gives the government and the opposition an opportunity for a fresh look at the way we pay welfare in this country, or income support would be a better way to term it, and to say, okay, we've evolved through all sorts of reasons, some of them lost in history to where we are now, but it's time to have a root and branch review of the way we provide income support and to be prepared to redesign it from the ground up. And I'm certainly very attracted to the idea of a living income for all Australians. So no matter what your circumstances are, if you need income support from the federal government, you will get an amount of money that you can live on. It will be consistent for all people who need income support. That's certainly the view of ACOS and other people, and logically that amount of money would be above the poverty line. Because as soon as a government, maybe with the support of the opposition, as soon as politicians agree that people should be paid an amount of money below the poverty line, then you've got poverty by design. And surely we can do a lot better than that, Deputy Speaker, than having poverty by design in this country. But that's what you've got with the old Newstart rate. That's what we're probably barely avoiding with the old coronavirus supplement, but that's what you'll get with the new coronavirus supplement. And if it is in fact the government's intention, and I fear it is, come March, April, to get rid of the coronavirus supplement altogether and to go back to $40 a day, then I make the point again, Deputy Speaker, it's poverty by design, which means we have a cruel government, a very cruel government. I'm delighted that the opposition is now talking about, in stronger terms, about increasing unemployment benefits should they become the next government. But I do fear that the current government is ultimately heading for $40 a day. And that's a cruel policy. That's a very, very cruel policy. I note the ACOS position, in fact, is to have a living income like I described and make it in the order of $472 a week, which is basically the current age pension or disability pension. And then acknowledge that different people have different extra needs, so there be supplements. Perhaps someone on a disability needs a particular supplement. Someone who's renting and paying the sorts of rents that I've referred to earlier, Deputy Speaker, they would continue to get Commonwealth rent assistance, but hopefully at a realistic amount. Because when you've got housing unaffordability like you have in many parts of Australia, especially in Hobart, which is the most unaffordable city, believe it or not, of all the capital cities in the country, we obviously need to look afresh at Commonwealth rent assistance. Can we afford this, Deputy Speaker? Of course we can. And if I apologise, Deputy Speaker, if I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to have to say this another 1,000 times, I reckon, before honourable members start to listen to me and pay attention. The fact that we are such a rich country. There is no reason in the world to have poverty by design unless you're a cruel government. I remind honourable members of the figures. Australia, our median wealth per adult is #1 in the world. We are the richest people in the world out of about 200 countries as measured by median wealth per adult, richer than even the Swiss. When we look at our average wealth per adult, we're number two to the Swiss. I mean, these are mind-boggling figures. We're the 14th biggest economy as measured by GDP. We are a fabulously wealthy and fortunate and lucky country, I would add, with our resources and our social capital and our, all our other advantages. I suppose it's all about priorities. It's all about priorities. What do we think is important? And I propose, Deputy Speaker, that what's important is for a government to look after the most disadvantaged members of our community and to look after them as well as we humanly can. And surely, by that standard, we can't tolerate a coronavirus supplement of $150 a fortnight, resulting in a gross amount of about $50 a day, which is $15 a day below the poverty line. Poverty by design. And Deputy Speaker, before I close, can I just take this opportunity to give a plug also for Jobkeeper? Although I know we're here talking about Jobseeker, but I do want to make the point again to the government that the job isn't done here with Jobkeeper. It was always fundamentally flawed because of the exclusions to eligibility. And it's not too late for the government to look afresh at this and to provide Jobkeeper assistance to local government, for example, to the tertiary sector, and to other sectors that currently miss out. And also to give the community more certainty about the future of Jobkeeper. We're going a few months at a time here, but that's no good to one business in my electorate that provides conference and event management. They've got no bookings for the rest of this year. They've got 5 events booked for September 2021 and more for 2022 and 2023. But are they going to last that long? Are they going to last that long? They've got 17 staff at the moment on Jobkeeper, but there's a real risk that they will fold and Hobart will lose that wonderful company and that expertise because Jobkeeper won't be there long enough that it's required. And the international travel sector. I know the government's announced a little bit of assistance for international travel agents recently, but not enough, Deputy Speaker. Remember, travel agents make most of their money from international bookings. They make almost nothing from domestic bookings. So there's another sector that's going to need not only long-term support, but some certainty now to encourage them and to allow them to keep those businesses afloat for as long as is needed. Because some of these businesses aren't going to get any sort of decent income for another 12 months. So we know that now. So why can't we say to them now that we will continue Jobkeeper in particular sectors for as long as is needed? And then, I'm thinking of constituents who own a number of travel agencies. They can go to bed at night knowing, okay, we won't fold the business. We'll keep it afloat a bit longer because we'll have a bit of support a bit longer, and they'll see the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe the end of next year when these businesses can resume some sort of normal operations. So, Deputy Speaker, in closing, back to Jobseeker, I don't agree with reducing the coronavirus supplement to $150 a week. Frankly, it's at rock bottom already at $250 a week, and that actually puts it roughly equivalent, a little bit less than the age pension, the disability pension, but it puts it roughly around the poverty line and roughly achieves that alternative model which I've spoken about, Deputy Speaker, about a living income for all people who rely on federal government income support. We should keep $250, and the government should say they're going to keep $250 and stop teasing people with 3 months here, 3 months there. No wonder a lot of us think the next 3 months at $150 will be the last 3 months, and we're going to go back to $40 a day. We're going to go back to poverty by design. We're going to go back to betraying the most disadvantaged members of the community. We're going to go back to ignoring the fact that we're one of the richest countries in the world and we can afford to do so much better. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.